The more intense you are, the more breaks you have to take. If you're not taking breaks, sorry, you're really not that intense. Anyway, this is video number 5, and quick little update. So, Raschuwafit, also known as Jed, myself, Jojo, Jason, we're all doing the open. 17.1, 17.2, we actually finished both of those. We don't have the complete results for the second workout yet. We're still working on those. We're probably all going to do it one more time. But currently, for the first workout, Jason and Jojo sadly did not finish. There was 20 minutes to do total amount. It was like 75 burpees over a box and 175 of snatches touching the ground with 50 pounds. So they didn't quite finish. Raschuwafit, myself, we both finished around 14 minutes. Our overall goal, at least Jojo and myself, top 500. There's like 6, 7, 8,000 people in our region, which is a couple states, doing the open. And remember, this is just a way for us to test our fitness. Jojo's never really done this before, so a little challenging for him. Right now, Raschuwafit and I, we're right around 500. Jed is just a little bit under, I'm just a little bit over. He beat me, barely. It's kind of sad. We still have 4 more workouts. Jojo, he's way up there, but he's still got time, so we'll see what happens. So anyway, there's a quick little update. We'll let you know how week number 2 went here shortly. So, the reason I started this whole thing of making these videos is because I do a lot of coaching, everything from nutrition to training, some one-on-one. Mostly though, I work with groups, about 50 people at a time. And at the end, I take 3 to 5 minutes and I give some kind of fitness tip, nutrition tip, which we all know that fitness and nutrition are super important, but one of the things that people miss, just as important, maybe more, is mindset. So I'm doing one of those 3 things, either fitness, nutrition, or mindset, and I don't always have time at the end of my class to really get into that. So what I'm trying to do is make these 5 to 10 minute videos, and you'll have either a habit in one of those areas to work on every week. Now, there's so many people to listen to and coaches. Why the heck should you listen to me? Obviously, because I have a man bun. That's a red flag. I think if I saw a coach with a man bun, I'd be like, who the heck does he think he is? What an idiot. I should probably cut this off, to be honest. But the reasons I'm going to give you, you should really ask any coach or personal trainer or measure them by them. They don't have to have all these things, but whatever they don't have out of this list I'm going to give you is probably a red flag. Number 1. Physique. Here's what I mean. They should have some kind of good physique. If you are hiring somebody who does not look like what you want to look like, that should raise a red flag. Number 2 is their endurance, meaning their cardiovascular system. And number 3 would probably be their strength. Like how strong are they? A couple other things would be their certifications. More importantly even than that is the amount of research they do. For years, I probably spent 3 hours a day, currently maybe 1 to 3 hours a day, researching anything from fitness, nutrition, or mindset stuff. And I've been doing this for years. And guess what? I still feel like I know barely anything. There is just so much out there. But they should be constantly learning. But here's something cool too. If I ever work with someone one-on-one, and they're going to work with me consistently, I guarantee them results. I think a lot of coaches are afraid to do that. If they understand nutrition, mindset, fitness, you should be able to guarantee results. And I think a lot of times, and there's a lot of great personal trainers. There's a lot of great coaches. There's also a lot of really sucking ones and a lot of people in between. Every industry is that way. But if you get someone good, they should be able to guarantee you results. So, we could take another time and go really in depth into that, but I want to jump into kind of the habit and just a little information. Now, we'll talk about heart rate another time, so we're putting heart rate aside right now. What I want to get into is these three things: volume, intensity, and frequency. Now, if you're a bodybuilder or you're an athlete, you are doing these things on some level probably because your coach is already making you. If you're doing group fitness, here's what I find. From the years that I have been working with groups, a lot of times they think they're intense, but in fact, they're not actually really intense. All right, you ready? Here's a way to tell. The more intense you are, the more breaks you have to take. If you're not taking breaks, sorry, you're really not that intense. So, let me get into it. Volume's the first thing. Really simply, volume is just the amount of work I do. 20 pounds. If I do this 10 times, I could measure the volume by the amount of weight. So 20 times 10 reps. If I do curls, and I do 10 reps, and I do 5 sets, and I do that 4 days a week, that's a lot of volume. However, another way to measure if you're a runner is the amount of miles you do in a week, or the amount of time working out in a week. Should really only do an hour working out 5 to 6 days a week. If you're an athlete, or you have a competition like a triathlon, a marathon, or you're just a competitive athlete, yeah, you're gonna have to train more than that. But most people should lower the volume. 5 to 6 hours a week, plenty. In fact, more often than not, I still fall into that category, even though I have competitions, just because I have a lot going on. I can't always get the volume in. So, what should you focus on then? If you can't get a ton of volume, intensity. So, what is intensity, right? We hear all these things, like people want to be intense, and I think the thing is most people think about intensity in terms of high heart rate. That is not necessarily the case. So, check this out. The most scientific way that people measure intensity is the percentage of your max rep. So what does that mean? Let's just say I can curl 100 pounds. I don't think I can do that, but let's just say I can. I do 100 pounds. 20 pounds is a very light percentage. It's only 20% of my 1 rep max. So if I can curl 100 pounds one time, 20 pounds is only 20% intensity of my 1 rep max. Now, if I go into group fitness and I grab 20s and we're going to be doing this the whole class, guess what? My arms are going to get tired, I'm going to get sore, my heart rate might get high, but my intensity is not very high. Why is intensity even important? The higher your intensity, the more strength you're going to have, or the more muscle you're going to build. If you decide strength is what you're going after, 1 to 5 reps is probably what you want to be in. If muscle's what you want to go after, probably 8 to 12. Now, here's the challenge though, especially in group fitness. If you end up, from what I see, if you're standing around like this, people look at you like, what is your problem? Oh, I'm better, I'm beating you. But no, if I grab a 2-pound weight and curl it 300 times, yeah, I got a lot of volume. In fact, my arm might start to hurt because it's so many reps. But my intensity's so low, I'm not going to get stronger. And I'm not going to build muscle. Both of those are extremely valuable, especially if how your body looks is important to you. Now, that's not everything, but regardless of your fitness goals, at least 20% of your training needs to be towards strength. That's really not gonna, that's gonna make you stronger. That's not gonna make your body crazily different. What is gonna actually start to change in terms of muscle, which increases your metabolism, is gonna be that 8 to 12 rep range. The more intense I go, the heavier the weight, the longer my break is gonna have to be. So frequency. Frequency is just the amount of sets that you do or the amount of times that you work out in a week. right? So again, volume is maybe the amount of weight or the amount of miles. Frequency is how often you're doing that. Now here's the thing. So you have those three. You have volume, you have intensity, and you have frequency. Most people should try to focus on that intensity. Forget the heart rate thing. We'll talk about that another time. But if you can keep your intensity up, you can lower your volume and then frequency maybe 5-6 times a week. So those are the three things that you can play around with. You can't do all of them, right? You gotta pick one to really focus on, or two maybe, but you can't do all three, right? So I can't take super heavy weight, like 1 rep max, and do 20 sets, 10 reps every day. That's not gonna happen.